What is the most Oasisy Oasis song Oasis ever Oasised? And by that, I don't mean what was their best song. I don't mean what was their biggest hit or their musically most proficient. Some months ago, I did a video on the Beatles asking a similar question about their music. And since making that one, I've been asked more than a few times to do one on Oasis. Initially, I decided not to because it was just too predictable, but people kept asking, so here we go. Now, because with Oasis there are so many little hidden gems stashed away all over the place, to keep things simple, we are only counting the 7 studio albums and the UK singles. Any repeats of album tracks or live versions of album tracks will also not be counted. I also won't be counting stuff like the Gold soundtrack, Japan-only tracks, bonus reissue tracks, remixes, or live albums like Familiar to Millions. This time, the mission is being split into 2 distinct halves. The mission of the first half is to look through the Oasis catalogue and figure out mathematically what were the exact averages. And there are 3 different averages we want to find. The first is song length. I went through all 7 studio albums and totalled up the running time for each one. I then divided that number by the amount of tracks, and that's how we get the average. And while different formats have slightly different lengths, I went with the song lengths given on Spotify. And you can see the average length of a song on each of the Oasis albums on screen now. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Be Here Now had the longest average runtime for songs at 5 minutes 57. And, interestingly, Don't Believe the Truth had the shortest, at 3 minutes 54. But if you take every Oasis album track together, the exact average length for an Oasis album track is 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Next, I counted up the B-sides and unique tracks on the Oasis UK singles. There are 28 Oasis singles in total. 2 of these, Shock of the Lightning and I'm Out of Time, contain no new material to count. So if we remove those, that leaves us with a total of 26. And some of these are very obscure, like The Boy with the Blues EP. The shortest Oasis B-side is Sitting Here in Silence on My Own from Let There Be Love at 1 minute 58. And the longest B-side is I Am the Walrus from Cigarettes and Alcohol, which comes in at 8 minutes 14. But now, if we do the same thing, if we add them all together and divide them by the number of tracks, we get the exact bang average length for an Oasis B-side, and that is 4 minutes and 14 seconds. But we want the overall average, so we have to add the album tracks and the B-side tracks together. And once we average them out, that gives us the exact central time for an Oasis song, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. That is the most Oasis-y song length for an Oasis song. The next kind of data-driven question is another one I also asked on the Beatles feature, and that is, what was the most common key? In music theory, songs can be in any one of 12 different keys, so I next combed back through the back catalogue again with my guitar, and this time I noted down what key every single song was in. Of course, there are some songs that actually have key changes in them that are in 2 keys, like Live Forever, All Around the World, Magic Pie, I've Got the Fever, and so on. And for tunes like this, I've just focused on the key that, in my personal judgment, is the main one. And on screen now, you can see the key I wrote down for every song on every album. And if anyone's interested in downloading these various metrics, they will be available to download for Tier 2 supporters on my Patreon. And now on screen you can also see the various keys for every B-side and unique track that we're also looking at. And of course, once again, the next thing to do was to add them all together and find the most common musical key. And this was the result. The most common Oasis key was the key of G, followed by A, and then D, and then C. The least common key for an Oasis song is the key of D flat, and, at least for the selection of songs I'm looking at today, it appears there are also actually 2 keys in which Oasis has never done a song, the key of A flat and the key of E flat. But of course there are loads of other tracks out there, little hidden gems that I haven't looked at today. So if you're aware of any Oasis song in A flat or E flat, let me know in the comments below. So according to this study, G is the most Oasis-y key for an Oasis song. And for today's video, I'm actually introducing a new metric that I didn't do last time. This time I'm also going to count up for every song what is the average tempo. Using my metronome app on my phone, I went back through the Oasis catalogue again, and for each song I wrote down the BPM, that's beats per minute, for every track. BPM is used to measure how fast or slow a song is played. It is actually a completely different metric to song length, because you can have a really fast, quick song that goes on for 20 minutes, and you can have a really slow, plodding song that only lasts for 1. However, when I was writing down the BPMs for every Oasis track we're looking at today, I decided not to be too excessively surgical about it. I decided to leave an error margin of 2 or 3 BPMs and just round it to the nearest 5. And that's because some tracks, like Slide Away, were not recorded with a click and they speed up quite a lot from start to finish. And also because a lot of tracks from the 90s were actually also changed using vari-speed by producer Owen Morris. So they're now not all actually in the true BPM they were recorded in. And a surprising amount of their songs actually come out at these crazy fractional BPMs. And yeah, I'm not working all that lot out. So to avoid being any sillier than we're already being, those numbers have just been rounded to the nearest ballpark figure, to the nearest 5. So on screen now, you can see the tempo for each track on each of the albums. The album with the slowest song speed on average was, perhaps unsurprisingly, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, which averaged 89. And the fastest was Don't Believe the Truth, with an average song speed of roughly 124. And then if we combine all the just album tracks and average them out, we get the average speed of an Oasis album track at 107.9 BPM. I also worked through all the tempos from the B-sides and unique tracks as well, and the average speed of one of these was 117.5. And so the final result, when you combine all of those speeds together and then average them out, is 110 BPM, the most Oasis-y speed for an Oasis song. So we've now established the exact average song length, the most common key, and the exact average song tempo. Next we come to the final 3 conditions, which are less numbers based and designed to just overlay a bit of common sense on all that data. For example, the most Beatley Beatles song, really, to me at least, needed to have been written by Lennon and McCartney. And it needed to have all 4 Beatles performing on it. It couldn't, for example, just be some acoustic Paul McCartney number. So the 3 common sense criteria I'm going to use to establish the most Oasis-y Oasis song are as follows. Firstly, it must be written by Noel Gallagher. Yes, the other lads in the band did write some really good songs, but overall I think everyone agrees when it comes to Oasis songwriting, Noel really is the main man. Secondly, it has to be a full band song. It can't be something that's just Noel with an acoustic guitar. It needs drums, it needs bass, it needs to be Oasis. And thirdly, we must have Liam Gallagher on vocals. The most Oasis-y Oasis song cannot exclude the frontman and most important British vocalist of the 1990s. Now I needed to start narrowing things down, so I started going through the list, looking for songs that ticked some of these boxes. When it came to song length, I had to allow quite a big margin of error, so I allowed 10 seconds in either direction because some songs have a huge long fade in with sound effects, whether it's helicopters or waves or kind of psychedelic noises, and some of them have huge fade outs with big chunks of silence at the end as well. So to make the long list, a song has to be between 4 minutes 13 and 4 minutes 33. It needs to be in the key of G, and it needs to be around 110 BPM. And once again, I've allowed about a 5 BPM margin of error in the tempo. As I went through all the results, however, refining things down by those 3 specific things, while there were a good few tracks that came very, very close, there wasn't any single track that perfectly fitted everything. So what I ended up with was a long list of 11 songs that came the closest. 11 Oasis tracks that came within millimetres of being the most Oasisy. So I now had to narrow that down. First of all, we needed to remove any songs not written by Noel Gallagher. And that eliminated the songs Little James and Thank You for the Good Times. The remaining 9 songs are all written by Noel Gallagher. But 3 of them fall down on another one of our common sense rules because they feature only Noel Gallagher, not all of Oasis. So that's Angel Child, Take Me Away and Sad Song, also eliminated. We've now got 6 songs remaining, and we now have to bring in the final common sense rule. Liam has to be singing on the track. So we now remove Talk Tonight, Where Did It All Go Wrong and Half the World Away. Which brings us, finally, down to the last 3. And while none of these last 3 fit the rules perfectly, they are very, very close. So now I just need to put them in order from the most divergent to the least. So in at number 3 we have Probably All in My Mind from Heathen Chemistry. It's the right tempo, but right on the edge of the margin of error. It's the right key, G, it's sung by Liam, it features the whole band and is written by Noel, but it falls short of the most Oasisy length by 21 seconds. So Probably All in My Mind takes the bronze. In second place, it's Up in the Sky from Definitely Maybe. It's in the right key, it's the right length, it's sung by Liam, it's written by Noel, and it features the original lineup of Oasis with Tony McCarroll on drums. But it misses out on the top spot because it's not 110 BPM, it's 140. Everything else was perfect, but the tempo was past that central point. So Up in the Sky takes silver. And in at number 1, we have a song that comes in at 110 BPM exactly, which lasts 4 minutes 24 exactly, features Liam on vocals, was written by Noel, and features Oasis right at the start of the Morning Glory era. This song fell short of that central position on the tiniest metric possible, and that was the key. This song was in C, not G, but any music theory nerds out there will know that the difference between the key of C and the key of G is literally just one note, the note F sharp. Now, some viewers might have objected to one of my common sense metrics about Liam. Did Liam have to sing the most Oasisy Oasis song? After all, Noel sang loads of them. He sang lead on Don't Look Back in Anger, he sang lead on The Master Plan and Half the World Away. Well, it turns out you don't need to worry about that, because the most Oasisy Oasis song is Acquiesce, the second B-side to the Some Might Say single, an opening track on the Master Plan album. It's sung by both Liam and Noel, side by side, an uplifting anthem of hope, positivity and self-belief. The most Oasisy Oasis song, Oasis ever Oasised. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, whether you might personally have gone for a different song, but please not Wonderwall. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. And as always, a massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. And if you would like to download the various notes on the Oasis songs, timings, keys and lengths, that is available as a downloadable extra for Tier 2 supporters on Patreon. And if you would like to be credited at the end of videos and to have access to exclusive bonus content, the link is down in the description, and hopefully I'll see you inside.